It looks from my end like you're live.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to Thursday edition of the True North Consulting Live. We brought on a very special guest really to talk about a really important topic for not just business owners, but people that are in a high demand, high pressure job, or gosh, for that matter, high pressure situation. It doesn't even necessarily have to be employment or a career. So we have Waltraud Unger. She is a corporate, a person who spent many years in corporate and has branched out and started her own business to talk about some ways to overcome burnout. So welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. And it's a topic that's on everybody's mind and a passion of mine. So I'm really excited to share a little bit more about it.
We're glad to have you. Obviously, burnout and stress and all of the things that come with that is a tough thing that many people deal with, and it kills you physically, kills you emotionally, kills, your family and spiritual and all those things. So finding a way to overcome that is amazing.
Yeah, totally. It's like it affects every part of your life.
It does.
Yeah. Because people have a tendency to go full throttle and crash and burn, and they don't,
yes,
do the long distance.
Right. And we think it's one or the other. We don't think of it as being able to have both, have actually success and be healthy and have good relationships and enjoy life. It's always like, well, we have to work hard, otherwise we can't be successful. And it's actually not true. And
yeah, it's like a badge of honor, right? I mean, you hear of people, I get up at 4:30 every morning and I work till this and I balance all of these things, but in reality, they're probably not balancing things as well as they think.
Yeah, totally.
And they're busy. I hate that word. I hate that word so much.
It's almost like being busy. We use that to almost justify who we are. Right. So I don't know if you want to share the screen, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about that whole concept of the badge and what we need to do.
Sure.
All right. You want to go to the first slide? So if you hit escape, it lets you go back out, and then you can scroll all the way to the beginning. Just scroll up. Yeah, we're having a little bit of tech issues, so I'm not running the presentation, so we'll juggle here today. But at least it's live, that you know.
Exactly.
So breaking free from burnout, and the question is, how do you break that cycle of achieving success without actually having to kill yourself along the way? So what should be the cue to advance the slide?
Just say slide and we'll hit it.
Okay, slide. The question I think on everybody's mind is how we can make more money. I mean, as a business owner, we want to make money. That's why we're in business. And then very often I see that then we are sacrificing our health. And how can we do that? Staying healthy and making money and not burning out in the middle. So there is a way we can actually achieve both. So we want freedom from that heavy burden that we are carrying and impacting our health. Next one. So if you're here live with us, I'm going to ask yourself to honor the time that we have together. So please turn off all distractions, your phone, send the kids away if you have kids at home. For me, I have millions of tabs open. My mind is on multiple things at the same time. If you want to close your browser tabs, close your door, which is, I'm going to say that, close your door, we're all set. And literally be here and honor the time that you're giving yourself for this little presentation. So I'm going to share a few things, and then give me a yes in the comments if this feels familiar to you. And if you're watching the replay, put in replay and yes, because I really would like to know that this is resonating for you as well. So I've heard this so many times, you're bringing in the revenue, but it doesn't feel like it's sustainable. You're worried about the health and the future of your business. I've heard that many times. What if I get sick? You know that you need to make changes, but you don't have a clear path to achieve it. Keep at the high level and at the same time keeping yourself healthy. And you always feel that you don't have enough time for what's really important. Yes, business is important, but there are other parts that are important. And I always hear, I don't have time for this. So if any of this resonates, please put in a yes. And I don't know if you both are keeping an eye on the comments. I'd love to know if we're getting any comments. So at the end, we are exhausted. And it's really hard to stay focused. So when we are exhausted, what I'm hearing and what I can attest to on my own is that we are holding back from really leveling up and achieving the business success that we all long for. So we have dreams, but at the same time, there's this little voice playing where we say, well, I don't have enough energy left. I can't do that. And we're not going for the next level projects. And that's a big one. We feel guilty when we are working. And then at the same time, we are feeling guilty when we are not working because there is so much on our plate. And this is another big one that I'm hearing and I have experienced on my own as well, is you wonder if you have the strength to keep going with all the things you would like to achieve without getting sick. So I've heard from people that they're dealing with migraines, they're dealing with digestive issues, all sorts of things that keep you out of the office, either if you're self-employed or if you work for a corporation. And you ask yourself, can I go for the promotion? So if those things are on your mind, you are at the right place right now, because we are going to address all of those. So you're tired because you're burning the candle at both ends. If that is you, stay until the end because we have some stuff for you. And we have a live Q&A.
Love it.
So here's what we're going to talk about today. What is burnout and what contributes to it? We're getting into a flow with it, advancing the slides. I'm loving it. You're hired. So what do you know? How do you know that you're heading for burnout? That's a really good one, because it's very subtle until we hit the wall. But there are different stages that actually get us to burnout. How to define the process that fits you and your lifestyle so you are not ending up where so many others are ending up. And then the big question is, who is that lady that's talking and why should we listen to her? Other than I'm live here and I get to talk. So in my former life, I have a Master's of Science in Applied Physics. I'm a geek and I speak geek. I worked with on laser fusion at the Max Planck Institute in Germany. And I was the first woman that they hired as a physicist. That's a story for another day.
Right.
Then when I came to the US, I joined Allied Signal as a research scientist, but only got to work in that role for 6 months. And then was very quickly plucked into the business development leadership role and identified as a high potential. So that's when the fun started, because they put me on this advanced track. And I went from there into as business leader into new ventures, did a lot of licensing and growing, commercializing technology, and then eventually into marketing for a large part of the business at Honeywell to run their marketing and business expansion program, and was getting ready to be groomed for the C-suite. Have 2 US patents that we all still use. So anybody that has a flat panel display TV, there is stuff that I was working on in that TV as well. And eventually I said, that's enough. I don't want to do that anymore. I went back to study nutrition and coaching, and I started Unfolding You. So that's one part of who I am. And then there's another side of who I am. At the same time, I'm a wife. I have 3 children, aging parents that are ill, and my side of the family is overseas, so I had no support. And with that came health challenges. So talking about burnout, I know a thing about burnout from personal experience. So why, it's great that I have my own journey, but here's some things that some of the people have said that worked with me. So Robert was one of the people that I absolutely enjoyed working with. And he came to me, as many people do, through the door of health. He wanted to lose some weight, but usually it's not the 10 extra pounds that people want to lose. There's a whole lot of health issues tied up with it as well. And then once you get into it, it's not just about the health. There's so much other stuff going on. And it was an absolute pleasure to support him and actually then see him reach his next level. So that was awesome. So ready to dive in?
Yes.
All right. Let's talk about what is burnout. So the World Health Organization says that it is basically chronic workplace stress, and it's not properly managed. So they are saying it's a feeling of energy depletion or exhaustion, and that's usually what we think of. With that comes a distancing from the job, feeling quite negative, cynicism, just not really enjoying what we are doing, and at the same time, not being productive. Just the day becomes a drag, and that's usually what we think of as burnout, right? So with that definition, when you look on Google or in any publications, people talk either about the mental health aspect or the organizational situation that is contributing to burnout. But burnout is so much more than just how we feel about a job and the job itself that we are in, either within a corporation or the situation that we are in as self-employed individuals. So the way I look at it is burnout is actually a symptom, but it has multiple root causes. So for example, a symptom would be pain. The root cause is the nail you stepped on.
Yeah.
Right? Yep. So the 3 root causes, the 3 nails in your foot, is your physical health. How well are you equipped to actually deal with stress? The mental and emotional health. How do I look at life? How do I look at myself? How do I evaluate myself? What's important to me? And the third one is what I call environmental health, but it's the job, it's the home life. How is the relationship within the family, with the spouse, maybe with relatives, with friends? That comes into society. How do we measure ourselves against the people around us? So that stress that can contribute to how we respond to our job. I'm kind of grouping that together as environmental health.
Got it.
So here are a couple things that I've heard so many times is I was caught in a cycle of believing that working long, hard days was a badge of honor. You said that, Randy, before. It's a badge of honor. If I don't do that, who am I? We are tying our self-worth into working hard. We're wearing it proudly.
Yep.
The more I accomplish, the worthier and more valuable I feel. It's a big one that I see a lot. And then there's a third one. Being anxious, exhausted, and unhappy, but at the same time, we can't let it go. So most people then start to focus on the symptoms and miss the root cause completely. So I hear people say, oh, I'm anxious. What can I take for anxiety? Or I'm unhappy. Well, let me go to a therapist so I can be happier. But we are not looking at what's really contributing to those symptoms. To me, I knew that burnout was on the rise, but I was really surprised to see that as of May last year, so COVID contributed hugely to an increase in burnout. So 73%, that means we all know people that are affected by that.
Yeah.
That's huge. And the question is that going to continue? Or are we going to do better with it? So the reality of it is, it doesn't have to be that way. I think we all know that if we don't make any changes, it's going to continue. But burnout is actually an inside job. What I realized along the way was, so going back, coming from the corporate world, being in a man's world, as a woman, not only did you have to be equally as good, you were judged, you had to be better than.
Yeah.
And everything going on was super stressful. So when I left and I started my own business, I noticed that I still was heading for burnout. And it was that aha moment that I then saw with all of my clients too. We have learned habits that keep us in burnout, where we create situations that prove us right, that we have to work hard and we have to push ourselves to exhaustion. So I'd like to ask, before we continue, if you want to put it in the comments, how do you feel about yourself, your health, and all the responsibilities that you have on your shoulder? I don't know if you can see any comments in there, if anybody is posting. I know we have probably a time delay.
I'm posting it as a question as well. So far,
Okay.
we're good.
Okay. Then why don't we continue, and then maybe later on check the comments. So one aspect of what we can do is asking ourselves, how do we nourish our body and our mind? So we tend to think of food as something that fills our belly and makes us happy, right? Nobody wants to be hungry. And we are trained to think of micronutrients. So either we know about it and we kind of push it away because we don't have time, or we fall into this category of following the notion of what's healthy. And right now, it's all about protein, 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 right? What we tend to forget is what actually keeps us healthy, what fuels our body, what fuels our brain. And the fuel for our brain is so important. So now the nerd of me is talking again. If you take your body and compare it to a high performance race car, and I know we are a lot more complicated than a car, but just for the analogy, if you have, let's say, a Lamborghini, you will not put in the cheapest fuel, right?
Nope.
You spend a lot of money on that car, you want to keep that baby humming. But is it only the gas that you put in? No, you got to put some high performance oil into the engine too, right?
And
Because
various fuel
otherwise,
additives to keep the rest of the engine clean.
yeah.
I know of people that have very high-end, we'll call them race cars, but even professional cars that they have a special machine that does something to water, like alkaline water, to wash it because they've made such an investment. So
Right.
the internal and external.
So taking that, why do we think we wouldn't do the same to our body, right?
Yep.
So the analogy is your macros, your protein, your carbs. Now I can think of it. But your macros are your gasoline. Your micros are your vitamins, your minerals, your enzymes. Your micros are what keeps your cells healthy. That means what keeps your engine humming. Your macros, the proteins, the carbohydrates, the fiber, all of that gives you the energy to go. Now we focus on the gasoline, but we never put oil into the engine.
Right.
So when I ask people to think about what they eat, is I'm asking them to ask the question, what does it do for your body? Is it actually fueling your cells to repair, to give you clarity, to give you energy, to give you the strength and the endurance, the stamina to keep going, and not just filling you up? Then the other part is keeping active to stay healthy and alert. And I think we all know about it, but what we do, if we do it, and when, is a whole other question. So what I'm often hearing is either people don't have time to work out, or they hit the gym every day and go like crazy, right? But there are two things that we tend to forget is when you're pushing yourself to the max, you're pushing your adrenals. When you then go to the gym or on the treadmill, on the bike, and you push your body, you keep having your foot on the gas pedal. You are revving, you're redlining that engine, you're revving up your adrenals, you're never calming down. So I'm hearing a lot from people, yes, the gym is my outlet. Well, it mentally may be an outlet. At the same time, it's not giving your body the relaxation that it needs. So the question becomes, what activities do we need to bring in at what time so we can actually continue to perform at a higher level without damaging our body? Because that's our biggest asset in business, right? If we are not here, who's going to run it? So keeping ourselves active at the right time with the right activity for where you are with your health.
Yep.
Beliefs and self-talk. What do you believe about yourself, and how do you talk about yourself? So we all have that little chat if you want to advance it. We all have that little voice, that's sitting here that tells you, you're a loser, this will never work, I'm never going to get that contract, I'm never going to get the promotion. And it's a constant negative voice that we are having that is subconsciously holding us back from taking risks. And what we believe, do we show up with a belief that we can do it? Or if we don't have the skills, what do we need to acquire? What do we need to learn? And then the confidence and boundaries. So what I'm seeing actually quite a lot with, if you want to go to the next slide, with people that are heading for burnout. On the outside, they look super successful, but on the inside, they have very low self-esteem. It's a constant pushing to keep up with everybody around them, and at the same time, not having a trusted source to actually talk about what's going on internally, and no boundaries. So it's a situation where a person says yes to a request for taking on some task or whatever, because this belief that if they don't do it, then they are not worthy to stay. So that's something that very often comes up in organizations, where somebody says yes to more and more projects for the fear of, if they set boundaries, then they become eliminated. And when I watch somebody going through that process to recreating or reestablishing that confidence and that self-belief, is actually, that's the moment when their career takes off. Because now they are no longer afraid to say no, to focus on what's critical and not what's busy work, and identifying situations in an organization that could be detrimental. While before, if they don't have that self-confidence, it's like, I cannot speak up, because if I do and they don't like what I'm saying, I'm out. So you're going from the yeser to the person that's highlighting what's actually going on. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Saying yes
So
to simply validate yourself or to prove yourself worthy rather than letting the rest of your skill set show that you are.
exactly. So you're playing it safe and you're getting yourself more and more boxed in with more stuff that's actually not contributing to the long-term success.
Yeah.
And then that's a little bit in your wheelhouse, systems and priorities.
Yeah.
What I see a lot with especially small business owners is they're growing and then they don't put the proper systems in place and they're doing the same thing over and over and over, or they're focusing on tasks that are really not needle moving. And to know what are the 20% that are getting you 80% of your revenue, when you are able to connect the dots there, that is often a huge, not just aha, but also clears up your plate.
Yeah.
So it's knowing when to bring somebody in, what to streamline, what to take off your plate.
Automate and outsource if you can. That's for sure. We certainly believe
Exactly.
that.
All right. So I like to work with my 12 keys to success. Those are 12 areas that actually influence how you show up each and every day of your life. And I'd like to just take a moment, and if somebody that if you're watching, take a piece of paper, and on a scale of 1 to 10, I would like you to rate yourself. If you can recreate the wheel, that's fine. If not, just write it down. And I'm going to start with career. How would you rate yourself on a scale from 1 to 10 on your career? Then take a look at your finances. Same thing, 1 to 10. 10 meaning, yay, I got this, awesome, I'm exceeding. And 1 is like, can do a little better, and anything in between. Environment. So where are you living? What's around you? Nutrition. What are you putting into your body? Physical health. How would you rate that? Your mental wellness. Family and friends. How are you doing with your family and friends? Romantic relationships. I like to pull that out separately because you can have a fairly harmonious family relationship, but maybe your romance life is just totally because you don't have time for your partner. You're laughing. I heard that. Pure joy. This is what lights you up. The stuff that you can do forever and ever, where time just evaporates. Do you make time for that? What brings you pure joy? Personal growth, the skills to actually deal with life, to advance, to step up to the next level. And then the second to last, living with purpose. Is there a purpose? Is there a legacy? Is there a mission in your life? And how are you doing with that? And if you don't, that will be a 1. And then last but not least, spirituality. Is there something bigger than you that you connect to? It could be in the realm of religion, but I like to pull it out and really look at it as an inner connection to something greater than what we can see and feel and taste and hear. Okay. So if you've done that, if you looked at those 12 areas and rated them, my question now is which 2 are the ones that are impacting your success right now? So you might ask, pure joy, how is that related to my business success? Well, it is. If you have nothing that you actually look forward to, that gives you joy, that you really like to do, then you're dragging yourself through the day. So all of those 12 areas, I can pick any one of them. If you don't have a love life, well, you know it in your business. If your finances are not there, you're probably making short-term decisions and not strategic long-term decisions. So it all comes together as to how you show up. Alan runs a very successful IT company. And when, again, same thing, came through the same door, he needed some help with health. And it turns out that through the work that we have been doing together and continue to do together, his business has just skyrocketed. So not only is he feeling well, but he is approaching his business from a completely different angle and is doing phenomenally. So now the question is, how do we get all of this done quickly when we already don't have enough time, right?
Yep.
So basically, you got two options. One is you keep going the way you have been going, just muddling through it on your own, maybe outsourcing some things, but trying, and I call it like the whack-a-mole system, where you try something, it doesn't work, you try something else, while you try that, something other is popping up, and you're just jumping around, but never really putting it together to see what's underneath. Why is it not shaping out the way you want? Why are you keep having health issues? Why is the business not growing? Why is life not fun? And at the end of the day, that's, I think, what it should be. We didn't come here to make money, even though we all love to make money, but it needs to be fun too, right? We want to have both.
Yep.
So we can't keep going the way we've been going, or you can say it's time to get help. And this is something that I would like to share with you what help would look like. So introducing M3 Collective, which is a mastermind that I am going to run. It starts next month. It's a group of high performers where we actually redefine success for ourselves. Not go with something that society is putting on us, but what is actually meaningful to us, where we can address any health issues, where we can overcome that burnout, that running on the hamster wheel, and actually creating a life that is fun. So we have strategies to help us do that. And what I'm really, really excited about, this work I've been doing for over 10 years, mostly on a one-on-one basis. But what I'm seeing is that each and every one of my clients feels they're the only one. And they don't want to talk to anybody about it. And it's a very, very lonely situation. So in the M3 Collective, we are going to bring people together so they have a peer group, a mastermind where they can actually see that they are not alone. They can share their wins, their challenges with each other, but it's completely confidential in a secure group. And actually, if you go to the next slide, it continues to have the one-on-one coaching component, but we're coming together as a group to discuss things, doing hot seats, doing Q&As. There's a topic library. And then what I think is really, really important is the peer support, because more than ever, people are feeling lonely. And there's a huge shame around the whole topic of the burnout. I'm not who I need to show up to be.
Yep.
So this is somebody, and I honor when somebody says, I don't want to be identified. I've worked with people that do not want the world to know that they asked for help. This individual came to me with digestive issues. And what I love is that they felt so much stronger and more level-headed. Their energy improved and their productivity it was night and day. So to have somebody come that is struggling and say, I make myself a priority and I'm growing as an individual, it's amazing to me. That keeps me going. That helps me.
Incredibly rewarding for
Yeah,
sure.
it's just, that's why I do what I do. So what I would like to say is, because we want to keep it somewhat short, I don't even know how long I was talking, probably way too long, is reach out. I have a slide with my contact information. I will later on go in and, if it's okay, post a link to my scheduler. So instead of, I actually charge for my initial consultations, but I will offer it to the group for free if they identify themselves as being part of the group here. And let's talk about what's going on and see if the collective makes sense, or if some other way makes sense. So I'd like to
Yeah, feel free to
extend
drop
that.
your links in there. I think the whatever time we've been on, you've already offered so much incredible information and value when it comes to health, fitness, and mindset combined, that to really thank you very, very much for taking some time to spend with us in our group. It's I think that we, unfortunately, you kind of alluded to it, but I think we live in a society where people are they feel shamed, not just for asking for help, but they almost feel shamed for not knowing something. And it's
Yes.
okay to not know what you don't know, but that's just the reality of what we have. And it doesn't mean you can't learn it and you can't know about it, but you have to put yourself in a position to be a learner, expose yourself to something new, to new experiences, to new whatever it is. And it doesn't mean it's for everyone. They may jump into your program and it's not the right fit, but give it a shot. Jump in and have a free conversation, and you might find that this is exactly what you need to move forward with your life in a better and more meaningful way. So I think it's an incredible offer and very generous of you. So thank you.
No, thank you. I'm excited to be in here because my mission is, no matter what, I want people to really have the opportunity to shine, to be the best version of themselves. And if that is with me or with anybody else, that's not the point. I'm here to help. If somebody resonates with who I am as a person and what I can offer, awesome. If not, that's okay too. There are other people out there that are doing work in some of the areas, and it has to be a fit. So
Agree.
yeah, and if somebody feels like, oh, I don't want to talk to her right now, go to my website. There's a free ebook where I'm sharing actually the 6 habits that I have found are the most important to tackle when you're in that situation, when you need to get out of burnout. If, you know, health challenges are usually one of the last things that we see. It often starts with the drive to always be better. There is a good drive and there is a not so good drive. When it switches from a healthy drive to the unhealthy drive, when we feel like we can't let go of our job, when we reduce our social interaction, not COVID related, but in general, you know, when you just withdraw and become more and more obsessed with success, those are some of the earlier signs. And as you go on that continuum, at the end, it's depression, it's digestive issues are big ones. And then the biggest one is cardiovascular stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a lot we can do to prevent that. So we don't need to go all the way to the end.
I agree. Well, again, thank you very, very much for taking some time out. You've been very, very informative. Again, as I said, you can drop some links and things below. We left it on this slide for a while just so they could write down contact information if necessary. But we can't wait to hopefully get you back in here and look at the next round and see how this new collective is working out for you.
Great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you
All right.
very
Thank you so
much.
much. Have a
Have
good
a good
night.
night.
You too. Bye.